This is our season. If we don't win the league this season, honestly, I don't think we ever will. If you do go on to enjoy today's video, please consider hitting the like button. It really does help the video out, even if I don't deserve it because I'm terrible at video games. And if you want to follow me on Twitter for absolutely no reason, the link for that is down below. If you do need any coins, head over to u7buystore.com. Use the code TVM at checkout for a discount. The link is in the description. What is going on, guys? TVM here. Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Brentford Save. This season is going to be the biggest push we've ever made to win a domestic trophy since we started. So we haven't won the Carabao, we haven't won the FA Cup, and we haven't quite won the league. We finished 6 points off it last season, as you know. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen last episode, go and watch it. If you've watched it already, go watch it again. Drink it in, because we won, spoiler alert, the Champions League. We beat PSG in the final. I still can't get over it, to be honest. But still, we have made some strides this transfer window. I have signed some massive players. We have spent some money. I mean, some is an understatement. I've actually spent the budget for this season, next season, and probably the season after as well. Maybe even the season after that, because I've been doing installments on a lot of these deals as well as money up front. One player has gone for tremendous money. It's just outrageous. So, the first player who left the club, we'll do all the departures first, then we'll look at the signings. So, the first player who has gone is Simone Bastoni, who was originally signed as a central midfield player, but didn't really get in there because we had, I think it was Sioane, was it Pelle? It wasn't Pellegrini, something like that. Both of those players were a little bit better, and they were signed like days apart. So Bastoni never really got into the team as a central midfield player consistently. He played a lot as a left back and a left wing back, and he played a lot in rotation. He was actually one of the first players we signed in this save. He came in 21-22 for 15 million. He played a fair few games across 4 seasons, but they were all bit part positions and plays. The second season where he played most of his games at central midfield, but ended up playing up at left wing back when Barisic took a few knocks. But either way, we eventually made 11 million on him. It is going to be 26 outright. You know, I don't really like to take chunks like here and there. I like it all up front so I know what I can do with my money. Ideally, that's how you would do your business. I'm guessing you could probably make more if you do it in installments, but I'm kind of a I want it now kind of person. He's on a lot of money at Leeds, but obviously that does mean that we need to get in cover for left back. But we'll talk about the purchases in just a second. Another player who has gone is Kevin Mbabu. We talked about the left back. Now we're going to talk about the right back situation. We've obviously bought João Cancelo last season, and we had Maitland-Niles at one point, he's gone. We had Dest at one point, he's gone as well. And now Mbabu has gone to Shakhtar. Interesting that Shakhtar are the team that picked him up, because he was, I can't remember the two teams involved. AC Milan was one of them. And I for the life of me, I think it might have been Villarreal, but I can't confirm it. And then Shakhtar. So I would imagine, in my opinion, as a player, the least desirable team out of those three for a European player would probably be Shakhtar. I would rather go to either AC Milan or then Villarreal, one of those two, and then Shakhtar would be the end sort of like decision, if that makes sense. They offered more money than the other two, so I'm really happy that he went. But either way, the really funny thing from my point of view, the terrible thing as far as Shakhtar is concerned, they signed him. Then he damaged his cruciate ligament and he's out for between 5 and 8 months. He's going to miss the majority of the season. They've just spent 29.5 million on this guy, and he's gone. He's out as well. We paid 6 million from Wolfsburg, which I think was a pretty damn good deal now looking at it. 29.5 million. And again, it's all up front. That is actually what's quite surprising, because the other two teams, AC Milan were offering around 22, Villarreal 23, 24. Shakhtar offered 29. Well, I say they offered, they didn't. I bumped them up to 29.5. Very surprising he went for that amount of money, but I am chuffed he went because we've replaced him well. Another player who has gone, not the final player, but the only there's only one more player that's gone, and that's the big money the big money, right? One of the big boys has gone. It was against my better judgment, but I think we've probably come out well enough. But Kondogbia has gone to Monaco. The reason that Kondogbia went wasn't because I offered him out or anything. Monaco came in, made an offer of, I think it was like 5 million with 6 million in add-ons. I think I got them up to 7 and 7. So it did take add-ons for, yeah, so it does say including add-ons. So I took 7 million up front, 7 million over time. One of the only times I've ever done it. But for Kondogbia, it kind of made sense. You know, we paid 18 million, so we haven't made money on this deal. We've lost money. But he did really well for us in the time that we had him. The season just gone in particular, he played 25 times. He was a very, very good backup for Jude Bellingham. And he scored a very important goal and got a couple of very important assists along the way. And just generally played very well. So I'm more than happy with this transfer, in and out. He's gone to Monaco and hopefully he does well there. Hopefully we never have to play them. But yeah, hopefully he does well. So the big sale is Karim Adeyemi. He went to Liverpool in the end. They were threatening it all season. I could not get away from it. Every time I click continue, and I've mentioned this a few times in a few videos, every time I click continue, I had a Liverpool player whispering in Adeyemi's ear, come over to the dark side. You'll play better for us. You need to be playing. It was a nightmare. I've still got it with Chelsea after Firmino. They just will not let him rest. They are constantly going after him. Sesko's had a few of them from Bayern Munich and from Real Madrid in particular. But it's nowhere near as strong as this one was. Now, they came in with an offer. I knew they would. It was like 2 days after the window opened. They came in with an offer of about 120 million, which made me take notice a little bit. And I thought, what replacement could we honestly get for 120 million? You look at his stats. He's got the dribbling, the finishing, the work rate off the ball is fantastic. He's determined. His anticipation is there. His physicals across the board are fantastic. He's only 23, so he's still got potential. He's still got room to improve. Even if one or two of those stats go up, you know, like finishing goes to 17, maybe dribbling goes to 18, his pace goes up a little bit, maybe. Who knows? Either way, that is a fantastic player. He got 35 goals in 58 games in all competitions last season. Liverpool on paper had a better team at the time of signing him. I don't think they do anymore. And yeah, he's probably thinking, well, I'm going to score loads more goals there. And I think he was probably right. But I wasn't happy with 120 million. So I went back with a ridiculous offer. Honestly, I pumped it up because I thought, I don't even need to sell him. I'm just going to pump this up to a ridiculous number and see what happens. They accepted it, and then so did I. They paid 205 million, not all in one go. It will say including add-ons here because it won't tell you how much it was up front and such. But I think it was about 140-ish up front, maybe a little bit more, 145, something like that. And then the rest of it is over time. Now, it's not speculative money, which is what I like to call it. So it's not like, oh, if Liverpool win the league or if they win the Champions League or if they do the double or whatever. It is installments and like really low goals. So if he scores 10 goals, we get like 5. If I think it's over time, it's like 30, 40 million in installments over 6 months or something. So it is guaranteed money. 205 million is coming our way in some capacity or another. So collectively, with the sale of, it didn't all happen in one day, obviously, but with Adeyemi gone, with Bastoni gone, Kondogbia and Barbu and a couple of other smaller players here or there for a couple of million, and the wages that have gone up from all this as well, and the initial budget that they gave us of around 55 million, we had around 400 million to spend. That's a lot of money. So the first major signing is, of course, the replacement for Bastoni. It happened very early on in the window. In fact, it was 1 day or two after. Bastoni went to Leeds, and this guy, Javi Gallen, who I think is formerly of, I want to say, Real Betis, but he actually plays for Man City when we looked at him. He was on the transfer list. I think he's better than Bastoni because he's a lot quicker, has much better crossing, and he has that work rate going for him as well as the determination. Now, he is 30 years of age, and he's a very similar player to Bastoni, don't get me wrong, but he cost a fair few quid less. He was about 15 million, and it will rise to 20. I think it actually will rise as well, if memory serves. It was a little while ago now. It was well over a month in game ago, which is a long time in Football Manager. I think it is installments. I'm not sure if it is like goals and assists over time or anything. So no, he didn't play for Real Betis at all. He was at Huesca, and then he went to Celta Vigo. So he starts the game in Celta Vigo and then goes to Man City for 55 million. They put him on the transfer list. To be fair, he's had 3 seasons there. He's done well. So he's not obviously going to play first team for us. He is going to be a squad player. He will rotate with Barisic. Barisic cannot play at his age 50, 60 games a season. It just isn't in him. Despite the fact that he tells me he can, he can't. So this is going to be a really good replacement. It's a shame his corners aren't better, but it's a good start. Xherdan Shaqiri might be questionable to some, but to me, it is a very, very smart piece of business. This is not an amazing player. His positioning does let him down slightly, but apart from that, honestly, for a 33-year-old, this is not a bad signing. 17 crossing, 17 first touch, 16 passing, good vision off the ball, flair, composure, and still has some degree of physicality to him as well. 14 acceleration and 13 pace. Obviously not as much as it would have been back 3 or 4 years ago, but still not too bad. Cost us almost nothing, really. I think it was like 1.9. I think it was like 1.8 something, but obviously they've rounded it up. But 1.9... He's on 45 grand a week and he is an emergency backup. He can play anywhere across that sort of midfield 3. So both wings, central attacking midfield, of course. He can play central midfield as well. Not that I'd ever particularly want to play him there. But, I mean, his positioning lets him down short. But he can play there if I need him. Unbelievable utility player. He will probably retire at the club. Bit of a James Milner thing. I'm only really expecting this to be a season thing before he starts to really decline, because I'm not going to give him anywhere near the amount of first team football he's going to need to keep those physical stats up. But still, I think a very useful player for 1.9. I feel like I'm just raiding Liverpool. This was I can't believe I'm about to say it, but free transfer. Liverpool released Curtis Jones. They let him go. I don't quite understand why you wouldn't give him like a year extension and then just put him on the transfer list and just get something for him. Maybe he didn't want to sign because obviously he wanted first team football elsewhere. I'm really not sure of the situation, but it was a bit of a battle to get him. I had to go and renegotiate the contract. Frankfurt came in. They offered him a little bit more money. He wanted to come to us and he said, hey, look, give me more money, I'll come to you. Otherwise, I'm going to Frankfurt. £65,000 a week, I think, for this player, who, again, very much like Shaqiri, he's a lot younger than Shaqiri, he's 24. He's not going to get into the first team, but he is definitely, as he's a fringe player as well, he's definitely capable of playing the central midfield role instead of Bellingham, instead of, maybe not so much instead of Rice because of his tackling, but he can play central attacking midfield as well, which is going to be nice, and he can play on the left-hand side. And with the sheer amount of football that we have to play this season, he could come in handy. If we end up having to sell him at the end of the season, or indeed in January, he cost me absolutely nothing. It was such a good deal. So where is that big money going? So far, we've spent, 15 million out of this season's transfer budget, and we've signed like 3 players. I'm not quite sure where the money's gone, mate. Well, this is a big chunk of it. Not the biggest chunk by any stretch of the imagination, but Sergej Milinkovic-Savic, or SMS for short, as many call him, he is a player. And he will come in, believe it or not. I don't know how I'm going to do this because he is classed as a regular starter. But he is coming in as a replacement for Jeffrey Kondogbia, who was only a bit part player to Jude Bellingham anyway. Now, I don't actually know if he's better than Jude Bellingham on paper. He may very well be. I'd have to go and compare them. But the beautiful thing about Sergej Milinkovic-Savic is he can play central attacking midfield as well, and he can do it well. Or he can play central midfield. So we have an awful lot of rotation options this season. Because our squad was already good. And yes, we've sold a lot of players, but the reason I've sold some of them is because we've bought players in their position who are better, so I've just moved them on. So, Mbabu, for example, I didn't actually want to sell Mbabu, I didn't really consider it, he didn't really want to go, but I bought someone who is considerably better, and that just allowed me to let him go. And of course, he was wanted, which helped me move him on very, very quickly, but SMS came in for a total of 51 million. Now, I do think this rises to 59. So there is 8 million in add-ons. They are guaranteed add-ons as well. But What a player to be able to bring in for about 50 million, £150,000 a week, which, as it turns out, isn't actually that much compared to some of the players that I've signed this season. But those stats are outrageous. Those physicals in particular, mental. Now, a player that I signed before I picked up Milinkovic-Savic was Zaniolo. I'm not quite sure if this was a good thing or a bad thing. Now that I look at it, maybe I didn't need him, but I signed him first, before anyone. This was the first signing I made. And this was the direct replacement for Adeyemi. Although now Zaniolo will find himself on the bench, which is a bit of a problem because he's on a lot of money and he's classed as an important player. So he will not replace, but he'll be in rotation with Talisman Magno quite a lot, I would imagine. And he will obviously get a good shout at central attacking midfield. I'll have to really rotate like every single game. We're never really going to have a main 11 this season. I think it's all going to be rotation. But what a player to be able to bring in. He cost us 85 million, rising to 100 million, which obviously is a massive amount of the money. It is 25% of the budget that we had after everyone had sold, which is a big outlay. Not the biggest that we've spent this season, but it's a lot of money. But I'm very happy to bring in Nicolo Zaniolo. I love him in real life. I feel like he should be better in the air because he's like 9'7". But yeah, real life, very good player. Obviously going to be good in Football Manager and hopefully does very well for us this season. Things are getting serious. Yeah, went out and bought Matthias de Ligt. Wow. It's almost unbelievable. I say almost, it is, let's be honest. It's unbelievable what we've managed to do. And it's all down to Adeyemi. A lot of the fans, but in particular the playing staff, the players themselves, they were very upset. Livakovic, visibly upset. He came in crying because Adeyemi had gone. And I said, look, it's for the greater good. It was a hot fuzz moment. It was for the greater good. We are going to turn that money into a title-winning side. I'm not even going to challenge for it this season. We are going to smash it with the team that we've put together. We're going to lose our opening game of the season, I can guarantee it. But we've gone in for de Ligt. We've managed to pick him up. It wasn't even that difficult a negotiation. He really desperately wanted to come to us. But look at those stats. He is better than any centre-back that we have. The problem is now that we have 4 centre-backs, and I say a problem as if this is a bad thing, but we have 4 centre-backs that are easily first-team quality. Godfrey, Osif, is that? I forgot his name. Osifich? That's not right. The guy starting with O, who's very good, by the way. Nianzou, who is arguably our best centre-back. Well, was our best centre-back. And now de Ligt comes in. But of course, because we've played a different system for the second half of the season, we need ball-playing defenders. Nianzou is a ball-playing defender. The other 2 aren't. Well, Godfrey kind of is, but not quite as good. But this was outrageous. And of course, he cost 70 million, rising to 88, which is actually a pretty good deal, I think. For a 25-year-old of this quality, which our staff value at between 150 and 174, I think that was a very good deal. Joshua Kimmich. Oh my days, what a player. I am so happy to be able to bring the best player in world football to Brentford. Doesn't sound right, does it? Wow. I honestly, he's 30 years of age, right? I get that. I actually thought he was a little bit younger. But I cannot believe we've managed to pry him away from Bayern Munich. I thought he'd be there until he retires. No one would get him. We've got him. He will be playing as a right back. Is it a waste? Maybe. Will I rotate him into the centre? Yeah, obviously. But primarily, he's going to be a right back. A lot of people will consider it a waste, and I more than understand why people would think that. But we have Bellingham, we have Rice, we have Milinkovic-Savic, Zaniolo, and Brozovic is still at the club, by the way, who can all play central midfield. We do not need another central midfield player. Kimmich may play there if we're desperate, but he came in as a right back. 18 crossing. The mentals on this guy, unbelievable. Stamina for days. He's not the quickest player in the world, granted, and he doesn't have the best defensive stats in terms of tackling and such. But playing him as a right back, bombing up the right-hand side and putting balls into the box, it's going to be unbelievable. The amount of money that we spent on a 30-year-old, questionable. 97 rising to 106, and it will go to 106. It was just a few extra add-ons. Yeah. Wow. I know it says like potential cost, because obviously the minimum cost, we didn't put 97 up front. It was like 65 up front, 30 in installments, which is obviously the minimum cost. The reason it says potential add-ons is because he may not hit certain things. It's like 5 goals and 5 assists and 5 clean sheets and things. He will hit them. It's inevitable that he will get these. So it is a guaranteed price, not potential, in my opinion, even though the game thinks it is. But yeah, a collective amount of 106 million for a right back. Yeah, it might sound like a lot of money. Well, it does sound like it is a lot of money. Let's be honest. But he is the best player in that position in the game, hands down, bar none. We know the impact of a good fullback because of how good Barisic is. He won Player of the Year, and he is a left back. He costs 5 million. Kimmich, 105 million, effectively, but he is going to be phenomenal. The team, at the moment, it's only the 9th of July. We still have a month or two left of this window. We have one of the best looking teams I have ever managed in a Football Manager game. That is outrageous. And I don't even have Milinkovic-Savic on that pitch. You know, like, options everywhere. Curtis Jones is on the bench. We have Brozovic, who's injured apparently, so we'll take him out. But, I mean, that is a bench and a half. And that is a starting 11 and a half as well. I didn't expect to change the team as much as I have done this season. The reason we've been allowed to do it is Adeyemi. I would not have been able to sign any of these, really. I mean, to be fair, I would never have signed Zaniolo, and looking back, maybe I shouldn't have. But we have Firmino and Sesko, who can rotate as strikers. We have several players who can play wing positions, central attacking midfield positions, central midfield positions, defensive options out the wazoo. We are strong. We have a very good team. If we don't win the league this season, I am going to be bitterly, bitterly disappointed. This is our season. If we don't win the league this season, honestly, I don't think we ever will. If you have enjoyed that, though, do me a favour and hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, and until the next time, goodbye.